Hey guys, it's M, and I'm very happy because today we're going to be talking about Fist of the North Star again, and the subject's going to be Jagi, again. Boy, I sure wonder if he has a favorite HNK character. To be honest, this video wasn't even a thought until I remember watching Jagi's introduction video, and some guy in the comments was like, I thought Jagi was going to be a more badass version of Kenshiro until he killed the woman's brothers. And then I thought, yeah, what if he was? So today we're going to be putting together what would have happened if Jagi was actually a good guy, or at least an interpretation of what may have happened. Now, there's a lot of narrative stretches we're going to have to make, seeing as he did technically start the whole show off in the first place. If you're watching this, I'm assuming you know who Jagi is, but for the cliff notes, let's say he's the fourth and forgotten brother of Hypothetical. His martial arts are weak compared to his brothers because he'd rather use guns and non-canon other weaponry. He's a schemer as he pretty much set up the events of the entire first season. He's a bastard who cares about no one other than himself, and he's gone pretty much mad since Kenshiro ended up becoming the successor. It's going to be a lot of work to try to turn this guy into a good, if not anti-hero kind of character, but let's see what we can do. First, let's say the successor ceremony goes the exact same, with Jagi becoming angry at Ken and him still ending up getting his face malformed at the end. He leaves the room, but instead of saying he vows revenge against his brother, this time he simply just leaves ashamed of the fact that he can't beat him. This opens the door for him to still dislike Ken, but not be straight up bloodthirsty towards him. In this canon, we're also going to say that Shin goes after Kenshiro for Yuria regardless, as it seemed that she was on his mind anyways. Everything, including and up to the King arc, goes the exact same, with Kenshiro pretty much annihilating everyone who goes against him. The Golan arc goes the same, but let's say the Devil Rebirth arc is when things start to change. This Jagi would probably be something like a bounty hunter that goes after lower level threats or people he's certain he can easily beat, and not fighting big threats like Ken would, as he is the weakest Hypothetical brother. So, with this, we can say he would know scum like Jackal. He hears that the man with 7 scars beat him, and now he's made aware that Kenshiro is still alive. Also, quick note, as this Jagi isn't obsessed with Ken, he wouldn't have the scars on his chest as he does in the normal canon. Jagi then begins making his way towards Kenshiro for personal reasons, and just to see if he's become any stronger by challenging his brother. Jagi would then find Ken as him, Mamaya, and Ray prepare to fight the Fang clan. He would then quietly follow them and watch the arc play out from the sidelines, while also noting how much stronger his younger brother seems to be than before. Ken and the gang go back to get some rest before heading out to another town. Ken then finds the boy who was controlled to shoot him in the canon, but this time he simply has some sort of health issue. Ken would fix it for him, and the boy would say, "Is that Hypothetical?" To which Ken would look surprised, asking the boy where he had heard it from. The boy would then respond he remembers some fighter coming by who had saved the town from some ruffians mentioning it. While this is happening, Jagi would have still been following them, and he would be in the same town as them, just keeping a low profile. Night would fall and Jagi would know where Ken goes to. Jagi would then go to where Ken's resting and knock on the door. Ken would quietly get up not to wake up in a bat, and as he opens the door, he sees the masked man standing in front of him. Ken might not instantly recognize who he is until Jagi says something mocking Ken that only one of the Hypothetical brothers would know. The language would prompt Ken to ask if that is Jagi, and Jagi responding with yes, then asking to meet Ken on a specific nearby rooftop early in the morning to discuss something. Ken then agrees and meets up with him on the rooftop, similar to how they have their encounter in the normal canon. Jagi tells Ken that he still doesn't believe he should be the successor, but wants to see the full extent of his power. Ken asks Jagi if he gave up on weapons, but Jagi just laughs and tells Ken no. He also tells Ken that he should come at him with his full power and tricks, as Jagi's going to be using his and won't stop until Ken's been knocked unconscious or perhaps a bit bloody. The fight would probably go about the same way it does normally, but note that Jagi doesn't remove his mask to show Ken his face yet. As the fight continues, Jagi would get more and more aggravated at how strong Ken's actually become, but it's not fully a surprise as he saw what happened to the Fang clan. He then backs up to do the oil tank thing he does in the canon, but instead of saying whatever Tani says in the show, he says something like, "You can't beat me or any of our brothers, you false successor." Jagi's jealousy pretty much overtakes him for this moment. Ken then destroys the floor as normal. Jagi's then properly scared of Kenshiro as he was in the anime. Ken thinks Jagi's playing with the fire was a little bit too far, and he pummels him like he does in the show. Jagi lays defeated and near unable to speak from the amount of damage Ken did to him. Ken then walks up to him and says, "You're still too extreme and reckless to become the successor." Jagi would then look at Ken, and with his helmet now broken, Ken would see how horrible Jagi's head is. Jagi would then say something about how ashamed he is he can't beat his kid brother. Ken would be disappointed that Jagi went as far as he did with the gun, the oil tanker, and all those sorts of things, but seeing as Jagi had no intention of outright killing killing Ken in this universe, Ken would help Jagi up and bring him back to health. As he carries Jagi out, Ray, Mamaya, Lynn, and Bat would come over because of the commotion, and Ken would introduce Jagi as his older brother. Now that we're past Jagi's canon death and arc, this is where it should start getting really spicy. Jagi would then recover and magically get another helmet, similar to how Ken always magically gets a shirt, or one of the villagers would have made him one as a show of their gratitude for him helping them earlier. Ken would ask about Jagi. Jagi replying that he's been helping people for bounties since the last time we seen Ken or any of his brothers. Somewhere near the end of the convo, Jagi would mention he still doesn't really care much for Hokuto, but sees it as more of a tool to get what he wants. Ken would be annoyed at Jagi for disrespecting his master's teachings, then eventually intervening, saying that Jagi mentioned his brothers. Jagi would mention that he heard Toki had been taken to a place called Cassandra, and that's part of the reason he was headed in this direction. This would interest Ken, and he'd reluctantly ask Jagi to join him for the time being. Jagi laughs and agrees, saying he hopes that Toki can fix his quote fucked up face. While they're traveling to Cassandra looking for Toki, they're told he might be somewhere closer, but this is really just a ploy to set up Amoeba's arc. Just as a quick side note, when Jagi joins the Megan crew, it's not as if they like him, it's more of a they barely tolerate him and find him irritating situation. Anyways, when they get there, events play out as normal until they actually reach Amoeba. As Amoeba attacks Ken and Ken tries to reason with the false Toki, Jagi would simply shoot Amoeba while he's laughing at the stunned Kenshiro. Ken's gang would be mad at Jagi, but Jagi would say he respects his brother and knows no matter what would have happened, he wouldn't have ended up like that. Ken comes to the same realization, and as Amoeba's dead, one of his goons says that that wasn't the real Toki anyways. They then properly journey off to the front of Cassandra where they run into Raiga and Fuga. Jagi would want to try to kill the two of them and rush into Cassandra, but Ken motions for Jagi to stop and let him do it. Raiga and Fuga would then come to the same conclusion as they do in the anime while fighting Ken, thinking of him as a possible source of salvation. They let the group in, but they're a bit weary of Jagi. They then reach Oligar where Ken vows to fight him himself. The fight goes normal until Ken gets knocked down by Oligar's shoulder rush, but instead of hearing Rin's voice, Ken stays down for a while. And while he's down, Jagi jumps in and begins fighting Oligar. While Jagi's tricks and traps would keep Oligar back and do some damage to him, he doesn't manage to kill Oligar before he prepares his Mongolian shoulder charge. As Jagi's about to get hit by the shoulder, Ken would jump up and do his shoulder shredding clutch, and then beat Oligar the same way he does in the anime. They reach Toki and it goes about the same, Toki stating he's relieved to see his brothers are working together before fixing Jagi's face. Jagi would probably go silent, being grateful that he isn't in pain anymore from his head wound, and he wouldn't know what to say or wouldn't want to show his relief or that side of himself to his brothers. They all leave Cassandra, and then we get to the scene where Mamaya, Ray, and Toki are looking up at the stars at the campfire. As Mamaya and Toki talk, he mentions that he can see the Death Omen star as normal, as does Mamaya and Ray. As Toki's looking at them surprised, Jagi also mentions he can see an annoyingly bright star in the sky. Toki's then mortified by the fact that they can all see the Death Omen star, but keeps quiet to avoid causing panic as he does in the anime. Keno invades and everything would go as normal with Ray getting his pressure point hit by Ro. Jagi would be with Ray and Ken as Ken prepares to fight Ro. Jagi expresses that he isn't going to fight Ro as he knows he can very well kill the both of them. Toki arrives and events play out the same from there with Ken and Ro fighting and Ro leaving. Jagi would be shocked Ken and Ro were evenly matched, but still chew him out for even attempting to fight Ro. The Yuta arc will play out the exact same, with Jagi only serving to fight background goons and possibly stop the flooding with Ken. Afterwards, while Ken's leaving Mamaya, Jagi says he's also going to branch off and enjoy some time with his now fixed scalp. Souther would then show up and everything would be normal up until the first fight that he has with Ken. After he beats Ken, he ends up taking Lin and Bat for his pyramid, or ends up getting a hold of them some other kind of way. Word of mouth travels and Jagi ends up hearing about Ken's defeat at about the same time Ro does. While Kentro's just recovered and heading back to fight Souther, Jagi reaches the pyramid sooner on his bike to scope out events as they occur. Events play out the same up until Shu's going up the pyramid. As Lin watches Shu go up, she begins crying and has an outrage. Jagi, somewhat knowing the kids and not being as much of a bastard as his base counterpart, quickly begins marking himself, as he sees he might have to intervene if Ken doesn't hurry up and show. Souther gets irritated at Lin and orders her to be killed, but as the guards approach her, they're both suddenly shot in the head. "Say my name," is yelled across the field, and everyone looks to see Jagi, who scarred his chest to look like Ken. Souther laughs as the guards prepare to attack Jagi, but he stops. Souther says he didn't expect the man of 7 scars to use weak guns, with Jagi saying he's just sick of toying around with Souther. Jagi is well aware of Souther's status, but bets on Ken coming to save Lin and Bat. Souther then begins attacking Jagi. The fight's similar to Ken's fight with Souther the first time, but it's much worse. Jagi luckily manages to get a few jabs off on Souther, but wasn't informed his pressure points were flipped. He then begins getting slashed and beat down worse and worse. His tricks do seem to be getting some lucky hits on Souther, but they're not stopping him. As this happens, Toki and Ro arrive, surprised to see Jagi even attempting to fight Souther, but they're both aware he stands no chance against him. Souther slices Jagi and knocks him back, but as Jagi slides back, Souther notices a liquid that's been leaking out of his jacket. At this point, Ken is now in the distance sprinting towards distracted Souther and Jagi. Jagi then laughs at Souther, saying he's never seen a simple trick like this before. Souther turns to see the gasoline goes even further behind him than he thought. Jagi then quickly pulls out a match and lights the area in front of him on fire. Jagi then throws what's been containing the gasoline on the ground and hops back, laughing at Souther for falling for such a simple trap. Ken's almost reached them, with Lin and Chu hearing his voice calling out to Jagi and Souther, but Jagi can't see or hear Ken because of the flame. As Jagi falls on his knees heavily injured, something flies out of the flames. Jagi looks up to see a phoenix. Souther hits Jagi directly with his Ho'oken, and the flames behind him extinguish. Jagi looks up as he feels what Souther has just done to him. Jagi hobbles up to Ken, who's finally arrived, as Souther begins laughing at the bloodied Hakuto brother. Jagi tells Ken that he must be the cause of all his pain and that some of his stupid kindness must have rubbed off on him, as that was a dumb thing to do. As he begins falling apart, he tells Ken that he's still better than him and that Ken owes him. Ken then blankly stares at Jagi as he falls into a bloody mess in front of him. Souther would then mention he didn't really know who that man was, but could tell it wasn't Ken because of how sloppy his fighting skills were. Then Souther would kill Shu as he shouts out for Ken, and the fight would go on as it originally did, but Ken has a little bit more anger powering him over the death of his brother. Toki and Ken would then mourn Jagi's death as his helmet simply lays in the sands, while Rose simply just leaves, calling him a fool for even attempting to fight Souther. Before they leave, Toki states for the first time that Jagi might have finally grasped the essence of Hokuto Shinken in his final fight, by fighting for something other than himself. After this, they would take off, and the story would continue as it was originally written, and that would most likely be it. Some may be wondering, why did you twist up the story like that, or why did you try to rush it out? Neither of those are the case. Beyond this point, Jagi would be completely worthless and serve as nothing but background dressing, as the enemies are just simply way stronger than he is. Only way he lives is if Ken coddles him for the rest of the story, which wouldn't really fit his character or even this hypothetical character at all. So yeah, that's my video about if Jagi was a good guy. If you think things would have gone differently, or you just want to talk about what I've said here, I'm always happy to respond to your comments or have a conversation with any of you guys. With that, I'm M, and I am out.